Hello, lovely scrapbooking friends. Iris here with the layout I made for Get It Scrapped. And this just got released on the blog last week, although I made the layout, around 7 weeks ago. So I'm a bit rusty, but I'm going to try my best to let you know what I did and what products I used. So the idea for this layout was, the assignment was to use emoji, and it should influence your layout design as well as the story. So I had recently gone through some of my old photos and noticed this one of myself when I was a teen, and I knew I had a photo of my daughter who just turned 15. Striking kind of a similar pose. We're both looking at the camera like, oh God, get the camera off my face kind of an attitude. So this is a layout that's going to compare and contrast life as a teen back in the early 90s and right now. So here I am going through a whole bunch of ephemera that might represent the kinds of things that were in my teen mind, in my teen life, in my teen world at the time. And I'm going through things like some Simple Stories Brads and Chamel sticker booklet. I'm going through the Simple Stories Emoji Love line for quite a bit for the more the teen now side of this layout. So the idea is that I cut out in my silhouette some thought and speech bubbles that I just got the clip art online, imported to Silhouette, resized, put on the canvas the way I wanted, and I cut them out. And it's basically the top half of the layout. The three thought bubbles to the left will be the now bubbles, and the ones three on the right are the then bubbles, and they sort of kind of intertwine a little bit. So, like I mentioned, it's been many weeks since I did this layout. I don't remember every single thing I used. If you have a question of a particular ephemera piece or icon that I use that I don't address on the video, I'm more than happy to go look it up for you if you leave me a comment and ask me what in particular you're interested in. And like I said, I used actually a lot of Simple Stories. So some of the chipboard and the stickers from Simple Stories, they seem to have quite a bit of things that were interesting to me. For instance, the popsicles are from their Summer Days line, and the emoji, like I said, is Emoji Love. But that like hashtag no is from their hashtag whatever line, which I didn't even see until until basically it was almost sold out, and I just got that one sheet of stickers. So it feels like this is very random at the moment. All I've been doing is auditioning pieces, cutting them out or sticking them off the sticker sheets and putting them on vellum. Here I took some clip art online of skates and of these little old-fashioned TVs, and I just printed them, and I'm going to manually cut them out. The cassette tape that you can see there is actually a Simple Stories print and cut from the Silhouette store as well. So the first step for this layout, it's going to be very embellishment heavy, and I really like how it turned out. I just had a lot of fun playing with it, but this did take a long time. So you just saw me cut out a bit, and I am going to be cutting in and out. Everything's very sped up because it was a really long process to get the placement of everything I wanted. Now, a couple of the design, I don't know, I wouldn't call them principles or aesthetics, but the ideas that I was going over in my mind, kind of like the rules I set out for myself for filling in these thought bubbles, was one, I wanted some things under the edges of the thought bubbles, so that the edges overlapped. I didn't want it, I think any design looks a lot better when you have either something going off the edge or something overlapping. So that was one thing that I was going for. I'm also trying to vary the sizes and textures and depths of the items in each bubble. But I'm trying to keep, like I said, the right three are sort of what I would have experienced in the 1980s, 1990s. So I've got things like soda pop bottles and, well, Converse are universal, I think. uh, the skates, the, you can see here, I've sped up a bit. And I've actually glued some things down. So I've got like that kind of old-fashioned regular point-and-shoot camera. That little joystick that says old school there is actually really old sticker sheet from K and Company. Rad is Brad from the Simple Stories So Rad line. And I remember that being a term that we used quite a bit back in my teen years. Other things I have on the right are things like old-fashioned telephone, a typewriter. That typewriter is a wood veneer from a gal in Australia, and her company's called Corbett Creations. It's really cool. The bicycle, kind of, I mean, bicycles exist all the time, but this one just felt like old-fashioned to me. It is a rub-on from a Dear Lizzie line. So, you know, I just pick things that sort of were relevant to me. Snail mail, there's an envelope right there. That's also from that's a Dear Lizzie sticker sheet, quite old. I don't remember the line. And then on the left-hand side, we've got the big thing is the emoji, which was the assignment for this layout. I also have that flare for buttons. I'm going to have a couple. No, I think that's the only flare I ended up using. No, I used two flares. That My Life as Well is also from a flare for buttons. The hashtag is from a Pebbles line, Girl Squad. I love that. It's a foam thicker. And you can see I've used some wood veneer. So on the right hand side I have the cool, and then on the left hand side I have a hashtag cool. You know, emoji didn't exist when I was a teen, and we didn't even have the word emoji. Instagram, that little Instagram piece above, obviously that's all within the last 10 years. So things that represent life as a teen now, which is a lot of Instagram for my daughter, and a lot of iPhone. That's why I have an iPhone twice there. And I try to double up. So earlier on, you can see it on the side there, I have that big OMG, but it was going to take up so much space that I found another OMG. It's currently in that thought bubble there, that smaller piece. So I try to double things up. So each of the phones, I like that they have something in them, the BFF and the hashtag selfie. So just lots of fiddling and trying things out for this type of layout. And I've never really done something like this where I just go all out with ephemera, wood veneer, even the flare. It was a lot of fun. I said take a long time, but it was a lot of fun to just pull from lots of different lines. Literally, that big literally is also from a Dear Lizzie line. I'm pulling in some wood veneer, that hip wood veneer, which will eventually move. The hip veneer is a jelly bean soup. The mustache is fancy pants. Some of those little clear ones, like that smaller Instagram little symbol, is from the Emoji Love, and the thumbs up. That Emoji Love line is really fun, but I wasn't sure how I'd use it just as is. It's so much yellow, and I'm not a big yellow fan. So I really like the concept I came up with here to mix things up. The puffy sticker, that's a coffee cup puffy sticker, is from Freckled Fawn. That real life hard stuff is from an Allie Edwards kit. I believe it's one of her week in the life, day in the life kind of kits. So you've seen me just put the cutout that I have over just to keep checking to see how things are going. Now, most things are glued down, and I knew I didn't want a white background, stark white background. So here you see me auditioning a few different pieces, but ultimately what I ended up doing is this one. It's from the Chit Chat, I don't know if it's called Chit Chat Chowder from Jelly Bean Soup. It is an off-white background with navy icons. So it repeats the motifs that I'm going for in within the thought bubbles, but it's much more subtle, and I like that it was more monochrome. My photos are more monochrome, and the thought bubbles are so full of stuff. They're crammed in, and they're going to be even more crammed in. You'll see in a little bit. But so I kept all the color within them, and they're against the stark white, and then the rest is going to be very monochrome. Been going through erasing, and I've had to remove things out of the way to do some of that erasing, and then using a little paintbrush to just flick off the little eraser gummed up stuff. And it did require me moving things around a little. Clean up. Then I'm going to go here, and the thickness. So the paper I decided would be better, a double thickness. That allowed me to use my original cutout on the white, which is great. And you saw me use my that tape runner, but then there are a lot of little areas in between the thought bubbles that were really too skinny. So I'm using this glue pen. Is the first time I used it was for this layout. It is called the Quickie Glue Pinpoint Roller, and it's like a little roller ball with liquid glue. It is blue, then it dries clear, and that was a recommendation from Jennifer McGuire. I get most of my tools recommendations from her, and it works out really good. So I decided my photos needed to pop a little more. I did add some white cardstock, and now I am adding some navy. The other one, the cardstock was very, very dark, so I picked this really old piece of paper that has the little stars, and you can kind of see them along the edges. I tried to place it so that you could see them along the edges, and I like how that come out. It's not just a very stark contrast. I pulled a lot of alphas from my stash, mostly navy, because I thought, well, the background and the photos have that navy. But I wasn't liking how that was looking, and the thought bubbles were looking a little lost. So I am just grabbing a couple different pens and seeing if outlining would help. I just used it with the inside of the thought bubble, and I am going to go ahead and outline in a little bit. But here, like I was grabbing an alpha or two to see how it would stand up against that background, and ultimately I chose this black. It's from Illustrated Faith. They have a whole bunch in this one alphabet, which is really fun, and I thought that would add to this layout. Has a somewhat of a doodly feel. You know, when you're a teen, I mean, other people doodle all the time, but like when I was a teen, I'd have a journal or whatever, and I doodle, and you just collect little bits and pieces, little designs. So even this alphabet felt that way, and it is the black-eyed pea from the homespun. They have them in different colors, and this one's called black-eyed pea. You can see here just trying to feel for where the photos would fit well and where the alpha would fit well. And then I decided to go ahead and do the outline, and I'm going to cut away after I outline just a little bit because, you know, a lot of repetition here. And it wasn't too hard to outline. I like the effect. I think I might have gone with a little skinnier next time. The alphabet was also going to feel lost against that really busy. It's a busy background in all the icons. It reads quite monochrome, which is good, but that alphabet was going to get lost and up against the photos too. So you can see here I just cut some vellum to put it on, and I like how that came out. Now I used that same Quickie Glue pen, and it sticks wonderfully. That whole vellum piece is sticking really great to the photos. I pulled in some enamel dots. They're my mind's eye, and I think one is, I'm not sure what the other one is. I know that one I'm using right now is my mind's eye. And those are mostly enamel dots, and then I have a few shapes, and I was just filling in some of the areas. The shape one is Gossamer Blue. Oh, and it makes me so sad now using the Gossamer Blue products. Makes me happy, but it's sad that they closed down. And I didn't try to fill every single spot, just a few here and there. It was a lot of fun. And I did things like the @ symbol is on the left, but I did not put one on the right. Oh, there I am, finally sticking that down, like I said, with the Quickie Glue pen. It didn't really stick to with the depth of the photos. The top piece didn't stick down to the background, but that's okay. It's sticking great to the actual photos. I did originally print the text, the journaling on white, and it was too stark. And like I said, I like the fact that the foreground is all monochromatic and those thought bubbles, which are really the background, all the colors concentrated there. So I went with this vellum for the journaling. And the journaling is just a list of things that are now or things that are then first. That's how I've ended up after you see me fiddling with the placement. The then things are things like popsicles from ice cream trucks, and the glasses were considered nerdy. We got cassette tapes and the Walkman. Oh, there you can see her close. And then for now, we had things more like YouTube playlists and Netflix and live streams and iPhones. So thank you for watching this process video. If you want to get the write-up, it is at the Get It Scrap blog. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you here next time.